What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and this video is actually going to live up to my channel name. So, despite the modern footage, obviously, I've been nostalgia tripping down memory lane pretty hard tonight. Now, I've mostly been doing that because, you know how every so often, something will just randomly surface in your mind, some old childhood memory of, say, gaming, or just childhood memory or something like that. And then one time they'll all pop back up while you're on YouTube. And you think to look it up. So I was like, yeah, this is cool, I'm going to do this. So I spent all night, or at least a lot of the night tonight anyway, so far, watching long plays of some of my old Commodore 64 games. And games I had from my really, really early childhood. So I'll get it out of the way right now. The reason for all this is because the Commodore 64 was my introduction to gaming. But I'll get into the story on that now in a minute. So what I want to know is, what was your introduction to gaming? Was it maybe you were at a friend's house and you saw something they had and you got to maybe watch it or play it and it was like, wow, this is badass, I need this. Or maybe you just randomly got it as a Christmas present or birthday present. Maybe a different family member owned it. Or, I don't know, maybe you were out shopping with your parents one day and you just saw something that looked cool and you decided you wanted it. So, let me know all that towards the end of the video anyway, in the comment section, because I'll go through my story first. It'll give you a good example or a good feel for it anyway. So, without further ado, we'll move on to my retro... Oh no, retro doesn't sound... Retro doesn't seem to be like it would be good enough. It would be Retro Q Gaming's first experience and introduction to gaming. So, my story takes place in the early 90s, specifically the Christmas of 1991. So I was 5 years old at the time, and at that Christmas, I got my own Commodore 64. Now, I knew kind of about a Commodore 64 already. I hadn't seen it or anything like that because one of my uncles who lived with me at the time, he actually had his own Commodore 64, but I was a good little boy back then. I'm obviously not now, but back then, you know, you stay out of other people's rooms and all that shit. So I never got a chance to actually see or watch the Commodore 64. So I got one for Christmas that year, 1991. There's a reason why I remember that, and I'll get to it now in a minute. But it's just sorry, all the size, it just makes me thinking of it. But yeah, some of the games I got with it. So the primary format of games and media on the Commodore 64 was cassette tapes. Now, there was also cartridges as well, but the cassette tapes were the main ones. So I got a handful of cassette-based games, as well as 2 cartridges. One thing I will note at the time of this, I actually still have my Commodore 64. It's in a box in my storage attic with, I don't know, dozens of games at this point. But anyway, I digress. So I'll get back to the games I was talking about. So the reason why I remember them is I got 2 cartridges and a bunch of maybe about half dozen cassette games. So the reason why I remember some of these is on one cartridge there was 3 different things at once. So there was a game called Radar Rat Race, which was amazing at the time, and the music was really funky, at least for, you know, a 5-year-old. It also had Jupiter Lander, which was a game. It's basically about landing a spaceship on Jupiter, and it's absolutely rock hard for a 5-year-old. And it also had a music synthesis keyboard program that I never figured out how to use, but I wasn't into creating music back then, so I didn't care. Now, the reason why, I won't say the reason why, is that's one cartridge. I had another cartridge which only had one game on it, and this was actually the game. This was my first played game ever. It was Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And the reason why I know that and remember it is when you're a kid at Christmas and you tear open all your presents and you see all these games in front of you and you're trying to decide what to play first, and you see a computer game version of a film that you saw earlier in that year and you absolutely loved, naturally you're going to play that first. Now, I know you're probably wondering straight off. It's like, yes, I was 5 years old and I managed to see Terminator 2 Judgment Day as a 5-year-old. Yeah, it's madness. That shit wouldn't fly anymore these days. But naturally, I jumped straight into it. And for a fun little side note, fact kind of thing, is Terminator 2 is still my favorite film of all time. Probably has something to do with this. Who knows? But yeah, I played Terminator 2 for ridiculous amounts of time. But some of the other games that I got on that day, that Christmas, and absolutely love, and still do to this day, and kind of factored into my C64 nostalgia trip tonight. A bunch of the games in the Dizzy series, and Dizzy is an egg. He's an egg adventurer, and he goes through all these places. I had like Fantasy World Dizzy and Treasure Island Dizzy, and there was a bunch of others that I don't remember off the top of my head. But like I said, I got about 6 cassette-based games and the 2 cartridges. So having said that, Terminator 2 Judgment Day on the Commodore 64 was my first game ever played on Christmas in 1991. Now, it's a very rudimentary game. I mean, you can look up a long play of it on YouTube. It'll take you like 15 minutes. But there was a couple of different styles of levels. There was like one-on-one combat fighting levels. There was like side-scrolling levels. There was a couple of other ones based on, say, driving levels where you'd be driving away from stuff and you have to dodge everything. And it's a standard fare. There's also some really nice puzzle levels. I think there was 2 of them. There was 2 really nice puzzle levels where you'd quickly see a picture of like something Terminator related, and you'd have to move all the pictographs around to match them all up. It was really nice, but I have such fond memories of it. And what really helped is because my uncle had a Commodore 64 as well. He knew how to copy games, so he had like hundreds of pirated games. And usually when you buy a game, if you bought a brand new game in a shop, there would be one game on a cassette, or maybe you'd buy like a excuse me, I'm dying here. What's the word? Compilation. There you go. Of like maybe I think they varied with about 3 games per cassette. But he had this system somehow where he had like 3 cassettes. I still remember because I still have that box, and there's still 3 cassettes, and each cassette has about 20 games on it. It's madness. So that's basically where I can root my foundations to gaming. My very first game I ever played, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Commodore 64, Christmas Day of 1991. And I can basically fuck it. I'm too tired. It's 3:30 in the morning. I'm too tired to fumble around with words. But I can attribute it to, there you go, I just get it out, to my uncle. And that's probably thanks to him that I am where I am today. And I'm happy with that. So let me know anyway in the comment section below your entire experience with gaming, and how, where, when, why, etc. it started. Because I'm curious, and because it varies so much for absolutely everyone. So let me know all that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel. But not tonight, because I'm going to bed, because like I said, it's very late and I'm very tired.